Hello, welcome to Easy English. So today I'm on the beach and I want to know what the people of Brighton think of their cousins across the pond. This is what Brits think of Americans. Here we go. What are your just general thoughts on Americans?
My general thoughts on Americans are, I think they're quite brash, they're quite loud people. I was actually kicked off of Facebook for 24 hours for making a remark about the Americans.
There's a big contrast between everybody's, not just England's, but everybody's awareness of American culture through films and TV series and stuff, and then how it is in real life. And they have a reciprocal lack of understanding of other people's cultures, partly maybe because their media system is just so big and it pumps out so much stuff. Like, they'll remake everything, right? The Ring, The Office, the this, the that. They remake it in their own light. So they don't get as much cultural education as maybe other countries do.
First of all, what are your general thoughts on Americans, US citizens?
Okay, I suppose mainly we meet Americans when we travel abroad anyway. Yeah. And so we see them as tourists and don't always have the best opinion of them as tourists. They're quite loud and brash and and I guess weight is an interesting issue as well because we always see very overweight Americans. Yeah. So that's sort of perception.
Right, my thoughts a bit mixed in a way, because as we were growing up in poverty-stricken England, when Americans came over here, they always seemed to have lots of money and perhaps a little bit louder than we are. However, after holidaying in America, I found them incredibly kind, quite sort of gentle and interested in people in England. And the royal family, which I didn't know that much about, and also incredibly polite on the roads because they don't drive as fast as we do.
And how about you? What are your thoughts on the Americans?
I think they can be rude and abrupt.
Yeah.
I don't like Donald Trump. Not many people do.
No.
My experience of being with Americans in America is that they were always very friendly and very welcoming.
Okay.
And particularly in New York, for example, I met quite a few people in New York, and they were like firm but fair, and I think they're very honest.
Only through the sort of, I suppose, the stereotypes that you know and create through yourself. They've seen as a nation very patriotic. Compared to what perhaps we're more divided about that here. I think seems to be from whatever political background they are in America. I'd say they all appear very to believe in the flag and freedom of speech and all the the various amendments that they have.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably more together in some ways than perhaps we are on certain things, but they're also very different from different polarising views as well, I suppose.
A general overview of US citizens is it's a vast mixture. This country is a small mixture, but lots of people think Americans are the big country, lazy, fat, as a lot of people say, but I've met and worked with Americans who are just not like that. And people from different states next door behave and act totally differently.
I've not travelled too much in the US, however, I've been to the East Coast, New York and Boston. My perception has been very good. New Yorkers slightly more brash than the Bostonians, I guess, but I think the perception is very much that they are slightly naive, ignorant perhaps. And then you get this perception that they're all obese and love huge portions. I can agree on the huge portions, but I don't know if it's fair that they're all naive and ignorant. And I guess on the reverse, that they think that we are very posh and all speak well and drink tea and eat scones. And again, that's not who we all are.
Nice.
But yeah, I think there are a lot of stereotypes.
Well, I'm a bit biased because I've got relatives in America. So
okay.
yeah, I've got relatives in California, and I think they're great. They're really friendly and open.
And do they have any character traits that kind of connect them all together, that you say are like outstanding character traits?
I think they're very warm and friendly and hospitable. But I do love English people too. But don't get me wrong.
This video is sponsored by Italki, the site that allows you to find online language teachers for one-on-one tutoring. As a new user, you'll get $10 in Italki credits after your first lesson if you register using the link go.italki.com/easy English. If you don't like reading complicated language books or listening to pre-recorded audio courses, then Italki is for you. You'll get to practice your conversational skills under different real-world scenarios, as speaking with humans is the best way to learn a language. You can customize your lessons to cater for your learning needs and interests, and the one-on-one lessons provide you undivided attention with teachers at your preferred time, whether you're at home, at the airport, or at your local park. You have complete access. So head on over to Italki with this link, go.italki.com/easy English to start your first lesson and get $10 in lesson credits. Have you been to the US?
Yes, I have.
Whereabouts in the US have you been?
I did the Florida thing, went to Universal Studios, etc. And it was fantastic. Had a fantastic time. The Americans were lovely. It was very clean. So yeah, I had a really good time there.
Okay.
And they seemed to like the English.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we are their cousins, so you have
Yeah,
to
we
be
are.
slightly
That's true.
nice to us.
My aunt used to live there as well in New York. So I remember New York in the early 70s and travelling down on my own on a Greyhound bus from the airport out to where she lived. And I was 15 years old. I don't think you probably let that happen now.
Whereabouts in America did you go to?
We've been to California twice, and we've also been to Florida
so
and
east and
New
west.
York. Yes.
I've worked with quite a few people from the US, I suppose, through work, primarily from the East Coast and then some from the West Coast. But I think there's such a different range of people across the States because it's such a vast country, vastly different sort of cultures and the demographics, really. So I suppose it depends on where you go, what different kind of people you experience.
If you could take a character trait or a cultural thing from the US and bring it to UK to improve like UK life or UK culture, is there something that you like that you take?
Yeah, I think I'm a huge sports fan. I think the college sport is amazing, and yeah, so I went to university and played first team tennis, but I was playing in front of maybe 3 people, whereas over there it's as big as some big tournaments, and I think it's the same for all sport. So I think that culture of sports in college and university being of huge importance to getting into professional sport would be really, really cool.
Right, because you get kind of sponsored.
Yeah, you get sponsored and you get drafted into the professional leagues as well.
Right, nice, well said.
I guess their lack of reserve, I suppose, how does that contrast with how you see people in our country? Americans are more, they give their opinion more freely, I think.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we probably could learn a bit more from that. We're sometimes too reticent, too shy to say what we think, too closed, whereas Americans are much more open. You can sort of tell what they're thinking and feeling.
Right. Is there anything that you would take from their culture or from their sort of personality traits that would improve Britain?
Yes, they seem to be quite happy to what we call blow your own trumpet.
I like this
whereas
phrase.
we always downplay anything about ourselves. And I think that's good. I think it must be good for children to have confidence in themselves. Yes.
Yeah, you can toot your own horn
yes,
as well.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We're quite. You have to be self-deprecating.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
that positivity, I think, generally, I think would go down pretty well, I think.
Is this saying that we're a bit
Go on.
self-deprecating or something? Or?
Self-deprecation is fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite a nice trait. But I think sometimes it can go a bit far. And I think a lot of people can put themselves down, or it can be a bit oppressive.
Right.
Like the British can be a bit oppressed.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the Americans are much more open to what life can bring.
Yeah.
The one thing I think Americans have got, which a lot of people don't agree with, is they believe in their country. Majority, perhaps not everyone, but I think the Americans say, hand on,
Yeah.
and and they're proud of it. And I think Britons should be the same. And there's lots of reasons why they're probably not.
Yeah.
But we should be proud of what we got. We've done
It's
a
seen
lot.
as a bit of a faux pas here to be kind of proud of your nation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. People are embarrassed, I think, too.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the US citizens, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
There were clips on Facebook showing Americans trying to aggravate and annoy the guards of honour at the castle. So I put the comment and I was kicked off of Facebook.
So Americans don't like you either?
Well, obviously not.